We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. We're also doing a live on TikTok. We're going to do one of those ones where we're including other people in the live. I'm going to try something I haven't tried before, and that is bringing in people for one or two questions. We might have TJ. We might have Eric in here, and I'm pulling in TJ right now. All right, we got TJ in here right now. We're probably looking for Eric and maybe Rebecca too. They're kind of coming up here. But this is also going to be a podcast as well, and it's going to be live. And we're going to do this a little differently than we've done it in the past. Now, TJ has joined us. Eric has joined us. As soon as I see him, he'll pop in too. Probably Rebecca. And Michael Moten says, "Where you been?" Bitch, I've been here every day. It's the algorithm. They're fucking with you. Chuck says, "Hello, how you doing?" But there are always people who want to come on and ask questions. And I'm going to accept people to come on. I'm going to take a flyer and let people come on the live and ask a question. Now, here's what you have to understand. When I put you on, I'm not going to leave you on. This is going to be like a call-in talk show. So you'll come on, you'll ask your question or two, make a comment, whatever, and then you're going to go away, and then we'll bring somebody else on. I want to be inclusive here. That's what I like to do with the podcast. That's what I like to do on TikTok. So if we can do that, we will try this here. So here's the thing I'm telling you. If I punch you up, be ready to ask a question, make a comment. It doesn't matter what it is. However, if you are a Trumplafuck and you're going to be a dipshit, you're going to get on. But as soon as I realize you're a dipshit, and trust me, I got radar on this bullshit, I will cut you off immediately. TJ or Rebecca will block your shit, and then I'm going to spend the next 3 minutes making fun of you. So if you want to risk that, you're fucking more than welcome to join us. So we have TJ the plumber with us. We have Analytical Iowan Eric with us, and Rebecca. So welcome, guys. We're going to do something a little weird here because I just got bored and said, let's do something fucking different. So welcome.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. I always love doing these lives, and this should be a fun little experiment.
It should be a good experiment. Let's start this bitch right off now. Let's start it off right now. I'm going to. We got another regular who wants to be in on this stuff. Will, this should get a little crazy. Now that's all the people I'm going to put in that are permanent. All the other ones, you're going to come in, you're going to ask a question, and we're going to tend to it. Whoever's got the best answer, we'll go from there. Jim Bond Miller says, "First time watching you." Well, welcome. I'm glad you decided to join us. We're going to talk a lot of things about what's going on, and there's frankly some fucked up things going on. Hey, Mike, visiting my daughter in Apple Valley. Love Minnesota. Hey, thank you very much. I'm a little ways from Apple Valley, but I know where you're at. I have some friends and family that live in Apple Valley. All right, let's see who's out there. Let's see who's out there that wants to get on, and we'll see if they have something important to say. Okay, this gentleman I know of. Let's see if he pops up. Maybe not. I'm trying here, guys. So once you guys just tell us what's been on your mind, all of you are talking about and making content and such. What Eric? What's the thing that's been twisting your undies in a bunch?
Well, not so much getting me twisted or anything, but I've had a video that's done very, very well. And
Yeah.
I talk about something that Fox News was talking about, and they call it a doomsday scenario.
Uh-huh.
And if the Speaker of the House is not selected before January 6th, they can't certify. So if they take 3 weeks like they did to get Mike Johnson the last time, which they could. Now, I'm a little off. I don't know for sure if they need to get to 218, regardless of how many people are there, or if it's just a full majority of those present. But they're missing at least one with Matt Gaetz. They could be losing Stefanik and Waltz, who have been picked for the cabinet. They may not have their seats. They could only have 217 in the Republican Party. They may not have a speaker. So, and at least a couple of Republicans have said they're not voting for Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
They may not get a speaker. No speaker, they can't certify. Well, what happens we get to January 20th? And from everything I'm seeing is, well, they haven't certified the election, so until they do, Trump is out, Vance is out, no speaker, it would go to the fourth in line, which is the president pro tem of the Senate, which apparently, because the Republicans would be in control, longest serving Republican, it would be my senator, Chuck Grassley.
Oh, God, help us, please, Lord,
He
no.
would have the full power of the presidency until they certify.
Yeah.
And even
All right.
Fox is calling that a doomsday. It's like, that is horrible. That idea terrifies me.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think somebody will figure some shit out before then. Before we go on, I pulled up somebody that asked to be on. His name is Truman Phillips, I think. Truman, are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
Not too bad. Now, you know the rules here. We're going to have you up. We're going to ask questions, make comments, and then you're going to go away, and somebody else is going to come up. You got that?
Yep, totally.
Okay, Truman, what's on your mind today?
I mean, I know the Democratic loss, which I am painfully aware of and was not very happy about.
Yeah.
It was devastating, but I'm a little worried about some of the messaging that some, Democratic types are using against those who voted for Trump. I'm just kind of concerned if the messaging that's being used to describe all Trump voters as either being misogynist or whatever the case may be counterproductive in such a way that it turns them away from ever thinking about voting for Democrats again. Do you think that there needs to be a way to maybe pivot away from the negative aspects? Yeah, Trump's got a lot of negatives. Don't get me wrong. But to not necessarily demonize the people who voted for him, and not in all cases. The diehard MAGA, absolutely. But the independents who just felt like they were at the end of their rope, I don't think trying to classify them in the same group is positive.
I'm going to answer this first, Truman, and I appreciate the question, and I'm not trying to deride anything that you're saying, but here's the deal. We spent the last 8 years of them talking negatively about the Democrats, correct? And then the last 4 years, they've done everything to put down Biden, the Democrats, in total. They've done that in total. Here's my point to you. It fucking worked. It fucking worked. They got elected. Now, I understand as a Democrat, the propensity is to say, well, we're nicer than that. Or we should be more above the fray than that. And that's fine. But I think the problem is we're fighting a bully here. And if we don't fight by the same rules that they fight, we're going to lose again. We're going to keep losing. Now, I know what you're saying. You have some Republicans that aren't as bad as MAGA. But as far as I'm concerned, if you supported MAGA, whether you identify yourself as somebody that egregious, the fact that you supported him, you're essentially an accessory after the fact. You are culpable in all that's happened. These people who had better mindsets could have voted against Donald Trump, but they chose not to. So I understand you're a better man than me, Truman. I'm just going to tell you that. You're a better man than me, that you want to take the high road. But we've taken the high road for many years, and every time we get our ass kicked. So if we're going to get into the fight with a bully, maybe we have to get into the mud. I know that's not the Christian thing to do or the decent thing to do, but there's nothing about what happened in this election and what's going to happen the next 4 years that has anything close to decency. So we have to fight the fight that's in front of us.
And I agree with that general concept. And I mean, messaging is everything. And, and it's hard to fight, like you said, a bully, because they're not going to just let you have your word. I mean, you have to find a way to override that. I just know from personal experience, I have friends who, I'm a political junkie. Obviously, I wouldn't be in here talking if I wasn't. Yeah, I
Right.
follow a lot of this and keep track of it, but a lot of my friends aren't. I mean, they barely even watch any kind of news, and they just pull the lever based on what their current situations are. And a lot of people pulled the lever for purely economics. They felt things were better under Trump, even though you don't understand the mechanisms that drove that.
No,
Voted for
I get your point. I get your point, and I'm going to give some of the other folks a chance to chime in here. Go, Eric or Will or TJ or Rebecca.
Oh,
Anybody who wants to chime in.
okay. So a friend of mine sent me a video titled, if it was about the how Trump won on the economy by an economist. I didn't watch that video. I just did a video right now about it. Let me make it clear. We explained the economy to all these people for fucking months. We explained how tariffs would work. They still pulled a level for Trump. My opinion is simple. You couldn't explain the economy to these people because they couldn't spell cat if you spotted them the C and the T. They use that as an excuse to justify their misogyny and their racism. I'm sorry, brother. If you're MAGA and you voted for Trump, I want nothing to do with you. You're toxic. You're dumb. And that's my opinion. If you don't like it, I don't care anymore. Because you know what? I'm going to watch a lot of people that look like me get hurt, and y'all going to cheer. So I'm not down with it. Sorry, that's me.
if
Eric?
you voted for the price of eggs over the rights of women, fuck you. You don't deserve any coddling from us at all.
Good
Well,
point, Rebecca.
Well, I know what Truman's trying to say is that we should give them the olive branch because not all of them are the misogynistic, racist assholes that MAGA is. But we did that. We went, well, I shouldn't say we. Kamala Harris campaigned for 3 weeks with Liz Cheney trying to extend the olive branch to Republicans. At the same point, she lost the far left. Now, maybe the insults aren't the way to go. I don't know. That's tough to say. But we tried to reach out the olive branch and not bring people into the fold, and it backfired. So we need to focus on getting the left side in line, bring all of the voters under whoever's going to run in 28, make sure we get the House and the Senate in the midterms, and focus on that, and just call out everybody who voted on the other side of the aisle for what they voted for.
Now, Truman, I just want to clarify something for everybody who's listening. When Truman says, do we need to pull back on this? I don't know that that's your personal opinion and what you would prefer to do. What you're saying is what's going to work best in our advantage. And you're
Right.
saying that if we do this, is it going to hurt us? I don't know, but I know what we did before didn't work. So I'm a firm believer in if one thing doesn't work, try something different. I understand your point, and I'm not trying to give you shit about this because it's a valid question and something we have to consider because we got 2026 and 2028 to consider.
Right. I would like to add one more point too. Is that I really feel bad for Kamala because she got a real raw deal having to pick up the reins of a candidacy with only a
Right.
few weeks to go. I mean, for what she did in that short amount of time was stupendous. And I give all props to her. I think if she would have had a full campaign to be able to really get her message out there, I think she could have beat him. But the cards were stacked against her in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to make a quick comment about messaging because I keep hearing people saying to Democrats to change their message. What's the message to change? We hate these people as much as you do or more. You see, the point is that the Republicans are looking. Have always been about culture war and hate. They couldn't govern their way out of a paper bag,
No,
but
they
now
can't.
we're
Right.
stuck with them. And so I keep hearing this thing, especially within the old guard of the Democratic Party, within the far left progressives. And by the way, it's not the far left is always going to be the far left. Before there was Jill Stein, there was Ralph Nader. They're always looking for an excuse to buck the system. They never want to get along. But my point is, the message is what? I mean, we can't do the hate thing. They cornered it. I'm not doing the hate thing. And the point is that that's the message that got through. I ain't buying it because that's stupid.
Yeah. Well, Truman, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it immensely. I appreciate you making the effort to come on because it's just out of the blue, and you pled your case very well. I appreciate it, and please join us again when we do another live. Thank
I
you
will.
very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, thank you. That is Truman, and he had a very interesting question, a question that needs to be answered when you're dealing with people like me or Will or Eric or TJ or Rebecca. We're not as sympathetic as some people are. So maybe we need a softer touch. But again, we've tried that for 9 years and it hasn't worked. I'm going to pull another one up here. Again, I'm just taking a shot in the dark, and we'll see what we come up with. As I've told you before, if you're a Trumplefuck and you want to start some shit, this is the wrong crowd to do it with. I'm going to end up cutting you off. TJ's going to block you, and then we'll all make fun of your shit.
Hey, somebody.
Okay, Boomer. Well, I love you. I've been
I
watching
love
you,
you
so
too.
I love you.
This is
I just wanted
Yulina.
to make
This is Yulina.
This is me, and I follow you. I just want to make a comment. I'm with you. I am not a sympathetic. I feel like it was more of liberty and freedom. Y'all were so blinded and I guess so hateful that you didn't even care about people's liberty and freedom. So I'm with you with that big fuck you. If you voted for him, I have no sympathy. Everything that he said that he's going to do, I hope that it happens to you the worst of all, because you were the ones who voted for this. These MAGA people voted against everything that helps them. Not even more Democrats, but helps. I'm in Texas. You already know what it is here. They are going to be bitching him on. They're already bitching him on in about the schools that are being shut down by Greg Abbott because he's put it back in the hands of the state, and Greg Abbott has already started shutting down schools. So I am with you guys. I have no sympathy. I match energy. So if you want to be on some bull crap, I'm on that level with you. I'm going to go there. As Michelle Obama says, when you go low, I go lower.
Hey, Yulina, can you do me? I'm just going to offer this up here. I happen to have a sister that is in the Trumplefuck vein. So I've got an opening for a sister, and you seem to fit the mold.
Well, I love you, so you know I will do it. I watch you on YouTube. I watch you on TikTok. I watch you, so I know how you are. I even watch some of your lives where you go on there and you start checking these people. I remember when you was doing it with the whatchamacallit was happening when the before the election happened, you was calling these people and asking them questions, and when they couldn't do it, you just go in for the kill. All I care about is I just don't understand how you voted against what benefits you just because of the hate, because of a black woman. Because let's just be honest, let's say what it is. I guarantee if it would have been Newsom or anybody else, we wouldn't be sitting up here discussing our liberties that we have just lost, because Trump is just that dude. He is hateful.
Absolutely.
He's evil. And I'm going to call it the way I see it. And so if you voted against your own interests, I don't want to hear you tell me about your gas prices. I don't care about your egg prices anymore. If you lose your job because you voted for this man and you're in the red state like me, I don't care. I don't care. I have no sympathy. None.
Well, I think I can speak for all four of us, and they can chime in that we love you too, Yulina.
Binder, I was feeling you. Oh, Binder, when you said
Thank
that,
you, ma'am.
I was like, Binder, yes, that is exactly how I
Hallelujah.
feel. I love you too. That's exactly. Rebecca, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, fuck you. If you voted over my my liberty to decide, because my question to all MAGA people is, by me having an abortion, explain to me how it affects you personally. I don't care about your beliefs or anything. Tell me how it affects you personally. Personally. How do I affect your pockets personally? Because that's all most people care about, is what's going on in their family.
Hey, years ago, when the abortion thing came out, the writer James Michener did an editorial in the LA Times, and his best friend when he was growing up was the son of a local abortionist, and he would see all the rich white girls go to the abortionist and get their abortions. He went to a private school with him. The point being, you notice that the people who always gets abortion are the rich white guys
Yeah.
whose daughters will get their abortions. You'll never know about it. I never forgot that article, and that was in the mid 70s. I read that article years ago.
Well,
Yelena,
I
I'm
just
gonna
wanted to
let
say-
you go here and get somebody else on, but I
Yes.
wanna make a invitation to you because I think everybody will agree with this. You need to email me and come on the podcast when it's a normal podcast, so you and
Will
I can
do.
just talk for an
I know
hour
your
or something.
email, so don't worry. I'll send you an email.
I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So
Okay.
by all means, do that.
Amen.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me
We'll talk
up.
to you.
Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Talk to you
sweetie. Be
soon.
safe.
Thanks, Shalina.
All right. I don't know, guys. I think this is working out pretty good so far. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I like it.
I like it.
We gotta get TJ talking here. He's been all quiet and shit.
Someone just tried to come in here and their username was Trump4547.
Yeah, that ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, I
Let's,
saw that
You
one.
out there, I've blocked.
Let's.
Is that the guy? Is that the guy that dropped "Trump's your daddy" bullshit again?
No,
I saw
I never
that
got
Kwame.
a chance to even comment.
Somebody once said to me, "Trump's your daddy," and I said, "I don't think that's possible because my mom was a legal age when she gave birth to me, so that's just not happening." Anyway, we're bringing in Nadine in now. Nadine, how you doing? Please be normal. Nadine, is Nadine there? I don't think Nadine's there. She got stage fright. I'm gonna take her off. We maybe surprised her. Anyway, yeah, I'm still getting the Trump's your daddy and all this stuff, and it's absolutely ridiculous. We've got, let's see here. Who else can we pull in here? 9 requests. We got a lot of people asking. Okay, let's try this one. I think we'll see what comes up here. This is Lori, I think, and we'll see if she's with us. Lori, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Thanks for joining us.
Well,
What's on your mind?
Well, I just feel like the Republicans, there are several of them that are not maggots, and although they may support it, I'm hoping that there are more Republicans in name only, and that they will be ethical in their voting, and they won't get any of these absurd laws passed.
Well, I think we've seen that already with the budget or the funding bill. They got a lot of Republicans that voted against the one that Donald Trump and Elon Musk wanted. The Republicans kind of pushed out Rick Scott from being the majority leader in the Senate, Matt Gaetz from being the Attorney General. The Republicans are already pushing back, so that gives me a little bit of hope.
It started with Thune.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and unfortunately, I think a lot of things aren't going to get done that need to get done. And of course, we all know that Donald Trump is not going to lower prices on gasoline or food. He's not going to be able to get that done, and we're all under the assumption that inflation is going to skyrocket. So he's going to lose a lot of the supporters that he does have when they start not being able to feed their families at all.
Right. Well, you know, it's interesting. I was looking at this today. Donald Trump tends to talk a lot, you know? He doesn't actually get things done. And I just want to give you a list of the things that he's claimed that he's going to do on day one. He's going to do this all on day one. Close the U.S.-Mexico border. Begin what Trump says is the largest deportation program in history. Expedite permits for drilling and fracking. Roll back environmental regulations, pardon people convicted of crimes related to the January 6th insurrection, sign an executive order that would cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and any other inappropriate racial or sexual political content. And beyond that, he's going to roll back President Biden's electric vehicle policies, and then, of course, wrap it up nicely with a bow and impose tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. That's on day one. How much of that do you think is actually going to get done? Motherfucker doesn't even know what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get it done in 4 years. And
No.
the more of those things that he does get done, the more he's going to harm the people, the majority of the people that voted for him. You know, the
Quick
majority
question.
of people in the states are poor or lower middle class, and they're the ones that are going to be hurt by all of those things.
Absolutely.
Doesn't President Musk sell electric cars?
Yeah, but that's
Just
the weird thing
asking.
about this.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to roll that back, whatever.
Well, maybe it's all electric cars except Tesla. That would be in line with what Donald Trump would do. It affects everybody else, not us. That's what the Republicans thought anyway. Donald Trump's going to do all this egregious shit, but he's only going to do it to the Democrats. Yeah, that's the way it's going to work out. These fuckers are ignorant.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, well, Lori, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Feel free to come on anytime again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've hit 3 people, and they've all been intelligent, asking good questions. I feel like I'm on a roll here. So, Lori, thanks for keeping it rolling.
Hey, thank you. And you guys have a great night. Happy
You
holidays.
too.
Nine, ma'am.
That was Lori. I'm impressed. I'm just picking anybody, and we're doing pretty good so far. The guy that said Trump 2024, I'm not going to pick him not because he likes Trump, because he's clearly a dumbass. And we just have no time for fucking dumbasses. Let's see who else is out there. Okay. Here's one. I kind of recognize the name from comments. Chase's dad, are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
I ain't worth a shit, but thanks for asking, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. What's on your mind today? What are you thinking about?
Oh, I mean, you guys are sitting there talking about Elon Musk and things like that. I mean, I think about 3 years ago, all you liberals were all Elon Musk this and Elon Musk that. But now that he supports Trump, you guys hate him.
No, it's not because
I
he
hated
supports
him
No,
Trump.
it's
before,
exactly
brother.
what's going on right now. You and I both
No,
know.
no. I hated him
All
before.
right, buddy. All right, okay.
Oh, here we go. This
Yeah,
is
here
not
we
about
go.
left or right, brother. This is about
Yeah, it
rich
is.
and not
You
rich.
don't like the fact
No.
that Elon Musk
Let me finish
was
my
like
point.
the person that was going to give you electric cars,
No.
and you guys are mad about it. And then now he supports fucking
Wow.
Trump, and you're pissed off about it
You know
because
what?
of politics.
Elon Musk does
It's all
not
about
give a
politics
rat's
for
ass
you.
about you,
It's
sir.
ridiculous.
He doesn't care
I
whether
thought
you
he
live
was
or
going to
die.
give you electric cars. You guys are going to be so happy. It's green,
No, you know
and
what?
you know, and
You know what?
you're going to save
Let
the
me tell you how
environment,
this
right?
works with electric cars.
But
Can I
now,
tell you how it really works?
but now,
Hey,
but
sir.
now, he
sir.
sides with
Hey,
Trump.
Chase.
And he's a
Okay,
bad
give me a
guy,
minute.
right?
Will, hold on 1 second, and Chase's dad, hold on 1 second. Chase's dad, this is what you're not going to be able to do. You're not just going to keep talking and talk over other people, because I happen to be good at that too, and I'll talk over your ass, and I can cut you off anytime, and TJ will block you.
I don't
You want to
give a
call
shit.
and
That's fine.
okay, that's good. That's good.
All right.
He's gone. Get him, TJ. I knew we'd get one in
Let
there.
me make this clear about electric cars. First of all, I've always had
Absolutely.
Elon Musk for what he did with Tesla and his workers. He's anti-union. He's never done anything for anyone but himself. 2, the big 3 have been working with electric cars for decades. 2009, I sat in the first hybrid fusion with all the digital stuff. It's been coming for decades. It's just a Trump bullshit thing to play to everyone else. This guy is our problem. He doesn't
Yeah.
listen. He's hooked onto one thing, and he thinks Elon Musk is a savior. Elon Musk is a Bond villain without a cat. Simple as that. And he is a dangerous man, and I don't know what to do because he's got so much money, and all you got to do is start giving out checks. He's like the judge from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Honestly.
Right.
I mean,
Now, Will,
that's what we're dealing with.
Will, I made a promise that I would cut him off. TJ would block them. I presume he did that. Did you block him, TJ? Oh, TJ's busy and shit. Okay, he blocked him. Now I got 2 minutes to make fun of the motherfucker. Here's a guy that can only come up with one point. You used to like electric cars. Now you're mad at him because he's with Trump. Bullshit. Bullshit. Here's the thing. If you're a big fan of Elon Musk, you're one of those poor fuckers that other billionaire talked about that thinks you can like Elon Musk and the shit's going to rub off on you. It's not. You want to talk about Elon Musk? Let's talk about all the Trump things that you voted for. The prices that aren't going to come down. And you saw what he did. He just tried to talk loud and talk continually. I don't let motherfuckers do that. There's no way, because they don't say anything. They have no substance. They're not very bright. Jay says, Dad, you're a dumbass. Now, you can't hear it because you're blocked, but everybody else can heir it. And I know Trump-fucks hate being embarrassed, and you should be embarrassed because you're a fucking idiot. So anyway,
Hey, Mike,
yeah.
he left the live before I could block him.
Oh, did you? Really? Well, I'm gonna try to find a way to block him because it's just not good to leave somebody hanging there. I'll figure that out. All right. Well, he's blocked, so no, he's not blocked. All right. Well, whatever the fuck. Let's see what we got here. We got some goofballs out there, but you just keep blocking them and keep doing whatever you do. If he comes by,
Well,
block him.
We knew going into this that this could be a potential problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem though. I have no problem with Trump fucks coming in if they shut up. GTA Redhead, you're on there not right now. So how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Doing
Good.
good.
You don't sound like a Trump fuck, so I think we're
Oh,
safe.
hell no. No. I am
Good for you,
I am
girl.
a blue dot in probably one of the reddest counties in the country.
What state?
Tennessee, East Tennessee to be specific. The same people that elected Marsha Blackburn and Tim Burchett.
Wow.
And I went to college with Tim Burchett.
Did you?
Yeah.
Weirdo?
His fraternity
weirdo?
had a party every year where they poured peanut oil all over the stairs, and one of my friends busted out her front teeth.
Wow, they sound fun.
Yeah.
They sound like a blast.
Yeah, but the thing of it is the women that I went to high school with, there's a ton of them that voted for Trump, which blows my mind. I'm Gen X, graduated from
Okay.
high school in '86. The amount of women that I know that voted for Trump who had abortions is astronomical, and it's a good
How do
thing
they
that
square that?
it's a good thing that I believe in privacy, or I would put them on blast. So instead of putting them on blast when I see them in person, I whisper in their ear. It's a good thing I believe in privacy.
I like that. I like that. Make them a little nervous. Yeah,
Exactly.
the hypocrisy is unbelievable in the Republican Party. They don't want anybody doing anything else, but if it applies to them, well, we can just fudge this one time. It's keep whispering in their ears. Make those hypocrites nervous as hell.
Yeah, and they have daughters. They have daughters.
Yeah, yeah. You know, on the podcast, I have this young woman that comes on, Old Soul, and she's Earthbound Angel, and she takes in a lot of people, a lot of women from states that don't have legalized abortion anymore, and brings them into her state and lets them stay with her, and she kind of carries them through the process so they can get the reproductive health care they need.
Yeah.
And a percentage of those people are coming from highly conservative homes, highly religious backgrounds, and they are white, and they're coming from these red states. It's absolutely hypocritical. And you know, frankly, if I was Old Soul, and I'm not even close, I would say, fuck yourself. You're not going to come in here and be a hypocrite. There are people who really need this. You're just getting what you voted for. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I've driven a few people recently across state lines, and I'll continue to do so because, I mean, it's healthcare. I'm not going to let somebody
Yeah.
bleed out on my watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I feel for you living in Tennessee. I have a regular guest on the program, on the podcast. That is Ed. He lives in Tennessee. I work with him here in Minnesota for a time. He's been in Tennessee. He's liberal. And now he's thinking of ways to get the hell out of there because he lives in the small town that he grew up in. and it's the Marsha Blackburns and all that shit. He's feeling unsafe and not happy about where he is.
Well, I came backwards. I grew up here. I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, which is an oasis in the middle
Yeah.
of the Bible Belt. And when my youngest graduated from high school, I moved back here because my parents are still here.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be a culture shock. It was 2019 when I moved back here. I had no idea. I was not prepared for what Trumpism had done to the people that I grew up with.
You know, I grew up in South Minneapolis, in blue state of Minnesota, and in South Minneapolis, somebody was just saying on Facebook, you saw all the high school friends and how many Trump fans there were was unbelievable. And the same for me. I don't even go to reunions anymore because there is so many Trump-fucks there, and I'm not in the mood to argue with stupid people.
I'm not one to back down or keep my opinion to myself, and sometimes that's to my detriment.
Well, it's to my detriment too, but it's who we are, and there has to be some people that are willing to do that.
Yeah.
Not take the high road, but shove it down their throat from time to time, and I appreciate that you do that.
Well, I appreciate you all. I will say this: my dad is conservative Christian, and he did not vote for Trump this time or the time before because he cannot align his conservative values with how that man acts
Yeah.
because he walks the walk.
You know, I don't have a problem with a conservative. I don't necessarily agree with conservatives up until the time of Trump, but Trump is not conservative. He's not a Republican, so that these people continue to follow him makes no sense. I'm fine with a older gentleman who's conservative. That's not surprising. But if you're MAGA, well, fuck you.
MAGA's a whole different situation. Like Liz Cheney and I have zero in common, except we both believe in this country and democracy.
And truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, GTA Redhead, I thank you for coming on.
Thank you all.
It was a nice way to come back
Nice to
after
meet you, ma'am.
dipshit
Thank
chased his
you.
dad.
We're fighting the fight here, and we're not giving up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have a
Thank
good
you very
evening.
much, GTA.
You too, ma'am.
Well, it was
I mean, the
nice, you
hypocrisy
guys.
of Matthew. Look
Can I
at
make
Matt Gates as the biggest. Go ahead, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just want to make one comment. Please, in the comments, watch how you're wording things and what you're saying, because if it's on the fence, I'm blocking you because there's a lot of Trump-a-fucks, and I'm just blocking if it's on the fence. So
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful of that. And the best thing to do is not interact with the Trump-a-fucks because that's what they want. They want a platform because they're incapable of creating their own platform. So they come here and they try to spew their bullshit, and I've just refused to let them do it. And TJ, how's the blocking going on your end? I know you and Rebecca work in tandem, but how are you doing?
Yeah, that's why I've been kind of quiet because there's been a lot of them coming through here.
Okay, well, I appreciate the work you do. TJ is normally a moderator. Rebecca's a moderator. In the past, they haven't been on the show, but I like to have them here because especially when we've got other people coming in, there are questions, and we got the likes of Will, who's on vacation, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. Will's on vacation.
I
He's been
was
on
off
more than when he's not on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. You know what? I took the whole day of Christmas. I didn't do anything. Kind of enjoyed it. It's just been. The one thing I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of capitulation from a lot of creators, and I mean that in the sense like, what are we going to do about it? Nothing type of thing. They're basically saying that Trump's going to do everything. The problem I have with all this is that you cannot do budget without the House. Nothing that Trump and his sidekick can do. I'm sorry, Musk and his sidekick can do unless it goes through the House. And I want them to pass a bill that cuts Social Security, Medicare, and takes out veteran benefits. I want to see them pass that through the House. Let's see how long that lasts. And that's I know it's not. Also, the talk about war and everything that Trump's been saying the last few days. I know there are people in the Pentagon going, "Oh, hell no, no," because everyone, and especially MAGA, was pissing me off. They were all saying, "Yeah, yeah." Do you know there are people that young men and women can die in wars, guys? Don't you get
Yeah.
it? You don't.
Yeah.
They just played it. They think it's a fucking video game. It's not. And if he
Right.
thinks they're going to be a soft invasion into Mexico, the cartels have weapons and tactics. And I want him to explain when bodies of soldiers come back from the Mexican desert, why this is a good thing to their parents. Please explain
Right.
that to me. I want to see that. Because that's the only way
Right.
these dumb fucks are going to understand the cost of his words. That's
Right. Absolutely.
really is my fear at this point.
I'm going to pull somebody else in here. This one is Jeffrey. And
Hey.
Jeffrey, please tell me you're not a Trumplefuck because you have the same problem I do. We look like Trumplefucks. Jeffrey, what's
I
up?
look. Hey, my name is Jeffrey. I'm from Maryland, and I'm 30. I'm 30. I'm 50. I'm 59 years old.
Okay.
And I must admit, I'm telling you, I'm glad you pulled me up, man. You got me through the elections. You got
Thank you.
you simplified the whole thing for me. It was like no matter what I heard on TV, I came looking for you.
I
You know,
appreciate that.
to simplify that thing for me, you know. And I'm one of the people that I just ain't lost hope yet. I just ain't lost
No.
hope. I'm saying the fact that I know for a fact that Kamala is well educated in election tampering, right?
Right.
So and then she has a whole group of top-notch lawyers around her, right? And I'm saying all this going on, and it's like I just don't believe that he'll be sworn in, but I just believe that if they if they show their hands, um, we would really be this country would just be torn apart, totally torn apart.
Right. Well, I've heard a lot of people say this and a lot of people talking about it, and I have a different take than most creators do, talking about whether something with the 14th Amendment, something's going to happen at the last minute before the inauguration. Donald Trump won't be inaugurated. And let me say this up front. I would hope that that's true. I would be happy that it's true. My only concern about it is that I've watched the Democrats and the DOJ allow Donald Trump to do whatever the fuck he wants. They're not very aggressive about handling these things. They're not about holding people accountable. But I will tell you this, Jeff, for as quiet as they have been, if there is nothing else that they're going to come out with before January 20th, I'm going to be pissed at the Democrats for just backing down and taking what they can get. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope it does. I'm just not that confident that anything's going to happen. I would think we'd get some sense or some leak that would tell us that something was happening.
But doesn't the Constitution, and I'm not well versed in the Constitution, so I'm not going to act like I am, right? But doesn't the Constitution dictate that he cannot be president?
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, if it were the Republicans, it says if you give comfort to insurrectionists, you cannot take office. And the thing about it is, it's not like it has to go through court, at least according to the Constitution, or through Congress to have that happen. What has to happen in Congress is if somebody says you can't be seated in your office because you did this, the only way that can be taken off if 2/3 of Congress votes to take it off. So theoretically, there is a loophole there. There is a chance. And you can bet the Republicans would take it if they were in that situation. I don't know how solid it is. I don't know what the court ramifications are. But even if it just delayed it for 6 months, that would be cool. I'm just not convinced the Democrats are willing to do that. I hope to God they are. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope so, Jeffrey. I really honestly do.
Well, you can drop me, but I'm just letting you know right now, I'm a fan. When I came on tonight and I seen you was live, I was like, I know where I'm going to be at. I know where I'm going at. And so, I
Well,
appreciate
thank you,
you.
Jeffrey.
I appreciate you because, like I said, you really got me through this election. It's like all the stuff that I heard on Fox and these places and this place. I was like, nah. I know where I gotta go to get the hard nosed truth, and you deliver, you deliver.
I
So
appreciate that, Jeffrey. And you have to understand when I look at things and I break it down to simple terms, initially I did that so this simple mind could figure it out. And the fact that I put it out in the videos and somebody else got something out of it, that's awesome. That is an honor to be able to do that for at least any number of people, and especially you, Jeffrey. So thank you very much.
thanks, appreciate you. Okay, appreciate you.
All right. Please feel free to come back anytime.
Okay, happy holidays to you too.
You too, Jeffrey. Thank you.
All right.
Now, Rebecca and Will and Eric and TJ, we've talked about this, and this is still going on right now. People are suggesting that something's going to happen before January 6th or before January 20th. And as I've said before, I've heard the arguments for it, and I get it. I understand how those possibilities could happen. And I'm not saying that they even work, but they could do what the Republicans typically do and just delay things and create chaos. I just don't think, I'm not sure that's what the Democrats would be willing to do. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think the Democrats are going to do much with it because that's what we've seen out of them.
Right.
But it could delay things, and that goes back to what I kind of started with, is if they do something and it somehow delays everything, come January 20th, we could end up in a position where Chuck Grassley is at least temporarily in power. That would be
Right.
scary as hell. But then again, you say, well, give aid or comfort to insurrectionists. Grassley was expecting to be the one to certify the election because Pence wasn't going to be
Good
there.
point.
He could be out. So then where does it go? Does it go to the current Secretary of State? But they're out of a job with the administration change. So there's all kinds of things. It would be a big cluster.
Wouldn't that be
I
ironic?
think-
Because the Secretary of State would be Marco Rubio, but he wouldn't be because Donald Trump wouldn't be president yet. It's
Yeah.
a fucking constitutional crisis that I don't think we'll see happen.
Sadly, I would have to say that if you want an example of what the Democrats going to do, just go to the vote for the seat that AOC wanted and what Nancy Pelosi did. I
Yeah,
don't
good
think they
point.
have the. I mean, and I think that's what we're dealing with. A lot of these guys want to do kind of capitulation, and they're looking at old school kind of. We have to figure out our message, blah 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 blah, which is bullshit. That's how you ended up in the same situation we are now. They don't want AOC or Jasmine Crockett to come up and say, no, this is the way it should be. This is how we should fight, because it doesn't fit their worldly view from above high. Remember, Nancy Pelosi is a very rich woman. I don't care if she's a liberal or not. She looks at it from a high class point, not like the rest of us. AOC is not that. AOC worked her way up. She's a working class person. So the problem we still have, and that's what I was trying to tell that stupid Trump-la-fuck, this ain't about left or right. This is about class. Those who have gold are now making the rules, and they don't give a fuck about us. And that's the problem. And that's why I don't think the Democrats want to rock the boat, because remember, they have rich donors too, and they
Exactly.
need their money spigot. I apologize. I don't want to sound like a pouring water on this, guys. But remember, as someone said during the Watergate years, follow the money. It's always that.
Right.
I've been-
Well, let's take
I've been
somebody.
think- I,
Go ahead.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's a lot of stuff out there.
You
people
allow it
talking
to
about-
happen to you. You choose that to happen to you, right?
Lou,
You allow
Lou.
it.
Well, like I said,
Hello, are you there?
When he made that comment to me,
I don't think she's there. Anyway, go ahead, TJ.
Like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's a lot of unknowns out there, and a lot of people saying this could happen and this could happen. But I honestly believe that there's only one path that I think could be viable in the whole situation, and that is if he does what he says, he'll be inaugurated, but if he pardons the January 6 people, then I think there's grounds for impeachment under the 14th Amendment.
Right.
So that's the
Yeah.
only, out of all the things that are flying around out there right now, that's the only path that I think is a viable one.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
going
but
to try
the
somebody
problem
else
is
here.
all that does is give us JD Vance.
It might
Yeah,
give
but
us
I think
the-
he's better. I think he's better than Trump in that he's controllable, and the Republicans will have to. I mean, it's not. He's not good. He's just not good, but it's helpful. We've got Bren with us now. Bren, are you there? Hello, Bren. Well, I got two in a row that they're either shy or they're not there. Okay. I'm just going to say this. Anybody who's requesting to be on, be ready to be on because it could be at any point. Let's see here.
As far as Vance
Trump-
goes, though, he'll end up. He's at least able to be reasoned with. The Republican establishment can say, "Hey, he's not going to want to go after Panama. He's not going to want to go after Greenland. You're not going to hear talk about Canada becoming the 51st state. Things like that. They're going to be able to mold him a little bit to do what they need to. And especially, I've been saying it a couple times, if the Republicans go and they themselves impeach and remove Trump, J.D. Vance will walk the line of whatever Congress wants because he wouldn't want to have the same fate.
Exactly. Heather here says impeachment won't get us anywhere. We tried twice last time. And Heather, you're right in the sense if this was a Democratic-driven impeachment. But what we're suggesting that it's a Republican pushed impeachment. What we're saying is, and what I've said before, is Donald Trump had value up until the election, value to the Republicans. Now that he got elected, he has no value. He's a liability. He can't be reelected again. All he can do is embarrass the Republicans and tank the economy, which the Republicans don't want because they have to they have to get reelected in 26 and 28. Donald Trump does not. So it's conceivable if he's crazy enough or he does stuff that's hurting the Republican Party and or the economy, Republicans themselves may impeach him. So that's something you have to consider.
The one good thing about Vance, and I can't believe I'm making that statement, is that even though he's putty in everybody's hands, he also wants to keep his job.
Yeah.
So he's not going to make incredibly stupid moves like Donald Trump was. 'Cause it does.
And he has hopes to get reelected too. So he's not going to be stupid about it. Donald Trump is just flat out stupid. So he'll do anything crazy. And while JD Vance isn't a better guy, he is more controllable. We got Michael up here now. Michael, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. What's on your mind, Michael?
Well, I am a 100% disabled veteran.
Okay. Thank you.
I fought the Cold War, but I also fought in Iraq in 2003.
Thank you for your service.
And I've been voting blue my whole life since 1977 when I turned 18. And as a matter of fact, that's when I went in the Army too. I am thinking about so many things with how this is degraded over the last nine years. First of all, just let me say, I'm exclusively on my VA pension and Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to turn 66. I don't live on anything else. I live on my VA disability pension, a small combat-related special compensation from the U.S. Army as I'm medically retired. And then my regular Social Security. So that's what I live on. Whatever.
Right.
$58,000 a year
Which
in
you're
upstate New
entitled to.
York. So, and even my property taxes are, whatever, 20% of my disposable income. So when I hear this draft dodger piece of human waste talk about taking away VA, taking away Social Security, they're not entitlements. I paid for my VA with my health. losing my health. I almost died in Iraq. I was medevaced. And I paid for my Social Security through a lifetime of work. I am also a former Homeland Security law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
So I've served my country in more ways than one. And I'll be goddamned if anybody who's never served, but indeed even ran when their country called, is thinking they're going to just casually take away what I earned. And I don't live high on the hog, sir. I don't.
No, none of us do.
You know what I mean? I go to Costco and I watch my spending, and I've got to gauge whether I do the roof this year or have the arborists come in and take out a couple dead trees. I don't live in any kind of a luxurious manner, and I of course I'm dealing with all my chronicities and burn pits and chronic pain and fibromyalgia and injuries and old wounds and whatever. So looking at this and hearing constant discussions about, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? We have a dismantled justice system. You've spoke to that about Merrick Garland earlier tonight even. And we have the Supreme Court, which is not functioning as anything judicial. We've seen where the impeachment route goes. It's at this point, what would be enough? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but what would be enough to get rid of the man? I mean, for Christ's sake, give me a colossal break here. What hasn't he done? As a Cold Warrior, I knew Lieutenant Colonel Putin's name as a 19-year-old PFC working in NATO. We knew him. He was out of the Dresden desk, coordinating the KGB in East Germany. And everything about the Republican Party stinks of compromat. Everything about Trump reeks of having been compromised by Putin, and he's now an asset. What we have not even gotten to, because the Republicans couldn't get on board with a totally legit impeachment, what we've gotten to is beyond no accountability. Our government's fully broken. To have some kind of a pipe dream, and I want it. I'm with every Democrat that wishes something, miracle on 34th Street, or I wish something was brewing with Kamala and our side, but it's not. And we haven't even fully exercised the gears in the machinery that we do still have a hold of.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
when I guess what I'm coming down to is, for me, when this thing collapses, and I'm fully ready for that in every sense of the word of readiness, for those you military folks out there, I'm ready for it as a person could be ready. Do you think I'm going to stand by, have my house liquidated in a reversed mortgage so that I can live after giving my life literally as a soldier and working for Homeland Security for my country's and my nation's well-being? Do you think I'm going to just roll over and die and go away? The Trump-la-fucks have no clue of the hornet's nest that they're going to kick. They have no clue. You don't casually say that you're going to come after the VA, or you're going to come after military retirement, or you're going to even come after Social Security. You don't just casually say that. In my world, in the world that I come from, people in Iraq died for less than people saying that. I saw people die in Iraq for less than someone saying they would take my VA and Social Security. So all I can tell you is, if you put a person in the state of nature and they have a means of living, and then because of what you do, they no longer have a means of even living, of eating, of having shelter, it's on. It's on. Because there's no alternative. There's no more nicey nice negotiating and across the aisle and all this mealy-mouthed crap. The whole mealy-mouthed crap thing, the whole reaching across the aisle thing is probably the exact reason why the Democratic Party has been waltzed all over. They need to grow a sack. That's it. I blew my load.
Well, I would add to it, but I can't. Any of you other guys? You said it better than I could ever possibly
One
say
thing
it.
I would say, Michael, and thank you for your service, is that I don't, with all this talk of Canada, Panama, all this crap, I mean, they look at the military as a bunch of, little toys. If it gets to that point, I'm thinking that the only thing that would happen is something out of 7 days in May, where the military may say, "Hey, no," and just stop it for now, and then reset something, because their oath is to the Constitution. And I can see that justification coming out of the Pentagon and a lot of old soldiers in there going, no, we're not going to let our boys die for some man's stupid ego, and definitely not one's going to violate the Constitution. Can it get to that? Yes. Because I can see a lot of blue states are starting to think that way too. So to answer your question, that might be it. It might be ugly. It may be the word coup, but it might be the only way to stop this insanity.
Well, I know that
will say,
the abuse of military folks on the other side, on the Trumplafuck side, who are talking about oaths. They don't have a clue they don't have a clue about the oath they took, because the actual keeper of an oath would be a guy like me. And the bottom line is, those people, those posers, they need to worry about a guy like me, because I'm pretty hot. Now, I've kept my cool because I had a career in civilian life as a law enforcement officer. Like I said, I was a Leo for Homeland Security. But I'm just saying, my voice is not one in the wilderness. I speak for a lot of men who are still able-bodied. Yeah, we're old, but we're pretty well trained and seasoned. I gave Uncle Sam 15 years of my life, and only got the boot because I got too screwed up from the wars to still be of use. But that doesn't mean I can't defend my home and my honor and my country and my Constitution. And the fact that we've been compromised by foreign governments is no joke. That's no joke to me. To me, we're talking about the Republican Party has engaged in a whole lot of espionage, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a Cold Warrior that worked in Intel. But there's a lot of espionage by the Republican Party that has not been uncovered yet. It'll come out. It's going to come out in the wash, Boomer. It's going to come out.
I hope so, because it's about damn time.
Michael, thank you so much for your service. And it's so sad that I feel like Trump basically is like treating the military like they're his tools, and he threatens with the military all the time. And it's extremely sad that so many military people in the military right now voted for him. And you know why they voted for him? Because they don't know your story. They don't know what really happens in time, because we're not in a time of war. They don't understand what really happens. And I think your voice is extremely powerful for that. And you should share that story.
Well, it's endlessly confounding to me. It's, I'm endlessly confounded by anybody who's worn the uniform, whether in peacetime or in harm's way. It's still service. But I happen to do both. And it's confounding to me why you would vote for somebody who is so flagrantly not for our country. And not only that, is why would you vote against your own kind? I don't believe in hurting people that wear my uniform. Why would you hurt people that wore your uniform?
Yeah. Michael, I want to tell you this. You have a lot to say, and what you've said is very compelling and very important. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, later tonight or tomorrow, send me an email at rationalboomer@gmail.com And you should come on the podcast like these other folks come on the podcast. We'll spend an hour talking about some of these things because it is important, it's compelling, and you do need a voice. You should be doing content, frankly, but I realize it's not for everybody. But if you would,
Michael.
I'd love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah,
Well,
Michael,
I've done some
I agree
content.
with.
I'm in the Neil Young movie that came out during his Living with War tour. That was
wow. Cool.
Sundance 2008, CSNY Deja Vu. I'm also written in an anthology of war stories by all war veterans, World War II and up, called United in Service, United in Sacrifice. So I'll stick that plug in there. It's available on Amazon. But the real motive I have here is I've been following you for a while, and quite frankly, my friend, I have to tell you, you've kept my morale up. And
I'm glad I could do that.
No small mission accomplished, because it's been under attack since all this shenanigans began, and our country has been so compromised. For someone who's worked in national security, at least in my lowly level, but throughout the Cold War, I just can't believe the Republican Party has become a party that would compromise national security. I mean, it's just almost surreal. Reagan be rolling.
I want to know more. I want to know more about your stuff in the Cold War, because that's important, because that's what we're dealing with now. And I hope you go on Mike's podcast. I want to listen about that, because I knew about Putin's history, but I didn't know how deep he was. And if you were following him, you know his tactics. You smell it. You see it. We need to bring that out in the open some more. So I hope you do show up on this podcast, please.
All I can tell you is that, when I was 19 years old, I held the junior keys to a 10 kiloton weapon. And, we were constantly approached by agents. We were trained in things to look out for during all the sneaky snake, don't forget, because during the Cold War, Korea, had killed some of our people on the DMZ. They had chopped a guy's head off, and people were snatched. I wasn't allowed to go to Berlin, but because of my background. But I almost feel like I'm living in some kind of dystopian nightmare, because everything that I fought for my whole life is just not there. It's like some sort of construct that I was trained to understand, and now it feels like at least half of my government is trying to train me out of understanding that. That we have enemies. There's enemies of the state, and one of them is Russia, and their leader is Putin. It's like the fact that we'd even balk at supporting an ally. Having fought the Cold War, I can't wrap my head around that. Yeah. The Ukrainians are heroes, and they're on the first line of defense for us.
Absolutely.
Truth be told.
Absolutely. So promise me this, Michael. You will send me an email. We'll set something up for you to come on the podcast where it's just you and me, or maybe you and me and Will, or you and me and Eric, and we'll have a conversation, because the stories you have to tell and what you've been through does need to be exposed to as many people as possible, so people understand what we're up against here and what you were up against, and how you're being considered by the president-elect. So promise me you'll send me an email, and we'll set something up at your convenience.
Will do. It's great to be here with you guys, and keep on keeping on, man.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to talking to you further.
All right. Thanks.
Wow, he was extremely,
yeah, he was great.
Well educated, very passionate, well spoken. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of gave me shivers listening to that, knowing what this man, like many other men and women, have sacrificed, and then to have the very country they sacrificed for essentially spit in their face. That's what Donald Trump is doing now, and this is something we've got to push harder and get the information out so we don't have to have that actually happen. I worry about the many people that are out there that are struggling or concerned or what have you. I'm going to pull somebody else up here. I think this is a woman. What kind of this person's? Let's see. I think this person's name is Catnip
Kiki.
Kiki.
That's my
How you
cat.
doing?
Hi.
I,
It's my
so,
pseudonym.
so pseudonym. Yeah. No, Rational Boomer is my legal name. So no. But what's on your mind tonight?
I heard you guys discussing about the 14th Amendment and things like that. Have you heard about the Executive Order 13848?
I have. And why don't Eric or Will can explain that and what that all means if you're looking for some insight to that, or do you know?
Eric,
Well,
Ken, I have no idea what that is. I
I'm
saw that.
thinking
I
it,
have no
I'm
clue.
thinking it's an option because in 2018 it was actually Trump that did it, and I think in perspective of the 2020 election, but it basically it it's about if there's any outside interference with our processes, you know, like on November 5th, let's say, that this executive order, it has to wait 45 days after the actual election. So that was December 20th. It was updated the 16th of December and the 19th and extended by the Biden administration. But it says that President-elect cannot be in the seat if there's any kind of evidence of interference and there has to be an investigation. I think that's what they're doing.
I hope
Eric
that's
and I,
true.
Eric and I talked about this in his live. He's got a lot of good information on that.
Go ahead,
Well,
Eric.
I read it. At least the way it read to me is it sounds like they have like 45 days to do the investigation, which was December 20th, and then there's like 45 days after that for something to happen. But most of what I saw had to do with sanctions against the foreign countries, things like that. The problem is executive orders can't override the Constitution. The Constitution still says the president comes in January 20th. So whatever they have to do has to be done by then. And the election gets certified January 6th. So they're up against a time crunch. I don't know what this executive order can do to change things that are already in the Constitution. I'm hoping that there's something to it and that it does work. I'm just trying to be a realist here and say, executive orders can't override the time frames already established.
Well, would the executive order in tandem with the 14th Amendment? Maybe it's a combination there that they could work with because the 14th Amendment obviously is in the Constitution.
Now that could.
I also agree that the pen is not mightier than the sword anymore, and that they have to stand up and fight. If you really say that democracy is at risk, then you have to stand up and fight. I think that part of that executive order is that it will delay that process until a deep investigation can be made. You have to gather evidence, and you can put that into play after 45 days after the election. And I don't know why they were called back, Biden and Kamala, but they were called back that night, that weekend. So if that's coming into play, then it will at least delay it. And I think an investigation would put it out to the public. And that's, I think, what they're looking to do, because once the public sees it, because statistically, if you go over numbers, they just don't make sense. I mean, 88 counties flipped from red to blue, but not one county flipped the other way. That doesn't happen. And the percentages are all off. The numbers are absolute. Math is absolute. It's black and white. And when it doesn't make sense, there's something up with that.
There is some funny business with it. Let me ask you this, though, and this is what I'm thinking about. I'm not confident that the Democrats and the DOJ will do anything because they haven't done anything to date. That said, I hope something's going on. But let me ask you this. If nothing is going on, the fact that they've been so quiet and so passive about that, won't that piss you off with the Democrats, that they did nothing, knowing the Republicans would have done everything that was in play no matter how crazy it was. If it turns out the Democrats didn't do anything, didn't look at the 14th Amendment, didn't look at the executive order, how's that going to make you feel about the Democrats?
Well, it absolutely angers me. I've been an independent voter my whole life. I'm 54, and I was very inspired and moved by this last campaign. And I was so upset and angry, I mean, for weeks, because I was like, where was the left? Why didn't they show up? You know, record
Yeah.
registration, all this talk, and nothing happened. And then still, the pen is not mightier than the sword anymore. Stand up and fight. So I am very disheartened by the left. I feel they failed us if they don't do something. And I think that what they're waiting for and hesitating is they don't want to be the ones to bring it up. There was a lot of other things going around globally. I mean, it's not a coincidence, in my opinion, that South Korea, France, all these other elections had interference as well. And the people had to stand up and say something about it. They had to, you know, stand up and do what they thought was right. And they ended up winning and overturning it. I think that that's
Yeah.
very important as well. And I think that's what they also fear. They don't want us tearing each other apart in the process.
Right, right. You know, the problem is anytime Donald Trump or the MAGA group is involved in something, immediately your mind goes to some funny business going on. And I thought about something that happened earlier in the year. Now, when that CEO from United Health was shot by presumably this Luigi Mangione, what I find interesting is we know everything about this motherfucker. He got caught. We know his name. We know his family. We know where he went to school. We know where he worked. We know everything about this guy. But the guy who actually shot at a former president and allegedly nicked his ear, do you even know his name? Do we know anything about him? And this is why people think things are fishy when Donald Trump is involved. That whole shooting thing, at first I thought, no way, somebody died, so it can't be staged or fixed. But there's so many fucked up, weird things in it. So that's the only thing that makes me kind of feel sketchy about what happened in this election. Could it have been stolen in some of the ways they talked about with Starlink or whatever? I don't honestly know. But I can't disregard it completely because Donald Trump is fucking involved.
It also is not clear. I mean, 20 of only the swing states have these discrepancies. And only the
Right.
swing states were
Interesting.
uploaded to Starlink, and 20 of his satellites crashed to Earth 2 days later because supposedly they weren't high enough in orbit. But that's all fishy too. And there's another organization, truethevote.org. Have you heard of that?
No.
That there's Martin Sheen and DiCaprio fund YouTube podcast called Secular, and if you look into that, there's a gentleman on there that's been researching this for years. They started, I think, just before the 2020 or 2020 it came about, but it's an organization that found like a 1947 Jim Crow law that said you can, in the states that it had still on the books, you can challenge a vote. And there was a handful of people, one woman alone, challenged over 32,000 votes. And I think the count's up to almost 2 million right now of challenged votes. The voters don't even know they were challenged, and they were disregarded because they were challenged. So that's
Wow.
also into play. If you look at their podcast, this guy has it's like 2 hours long, but he went in depth on, and he's been researching it for years, and he's very reputable. And he's coming out on this podcast saying, this is what I found. And it's a handful of people, but one woman alone, over 32,000 votes. How can that happen?
Let me ask you this. Do you understand why I'm cautious about it, though? Because I want to avoid sounding like the Republicans after 2020. Obviously, everything they talked about was bullshit. There was no evidence of it, never any evidence found. But I understand when people are disappointed and scared a little bit, they'll grab onto anything. I'm not saying that's what's happening in this situation, but you can understand how you got to look at that angle too.
There's a difference here because there is a trail. They can't find
Yeah.
out that she challenged 32,000 votes without a trail. You look at the numbers, and statistically, they don't make sense. They like it's in the trillions of some of these areas. The less than 1%, of votes vote the top of the ballot and nothing on the bottom. And in some of these swing states, it's at 11%. That's a huge margin. of error, and that it just doesn't happen. And when you compare it to elections back, it doesn't line up. Math is absolute, so there is evidence because the math isn't mathing.
Yeah.
Trump
Well,
publicly, Kamala, you're not going anywhere. Now, I don't know if that was just a pep talk.
Me, Biden.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, Biden. And also, yeah, I don't know if that was just a pep talk on his part and he's just, or foreshadowing. And also, Democrats are traditionally tight-lipped. Like, we're not going to show our cards ahead of time. So if there is something going on, we're not probably going to know about it. And we don't leak. So
I think
Well,
also
well,
that they're waiting for another organization to bring it to the surface, and then they can come with their evidence. I think it's been investigated. The fact that it was updated, that executive order was updated, not only extended, but updated in December twice. Something's going on. And on November 5th, they put something out about it too, just before the election. It was very quiet, but it was out there. And
well,
I'm just having
let me ask you this.
I just
When
have
do you
I just have one quick issue with this is that I just find it hard to believe that Merrick Garland or any of those people in the DOJ have to really, and I'm going to say it, forgive me, the balls to do anything like this. To do this is basically to rip apart the election and basically call out tradition. That's a scary thing. Now, am I saying that it's a possibility? Yes. I just find it hard to believe that Democrats who stand on some whacked out old school tradition have the balls to do it. Honestly, that's my opinion.
I would agree with
let
that.
me ask you this, Catnip Kiki. What's your first name, really?
Kathy.
Kathy. Okay, Kathy. Let me ask you this. We're coming down to crunch time. We're at November 26th, 27th, or December 26th, 27th. They're going to certify the election on January 6th. Inauguration is January 20th. They've been tight-lipped about this. And if in fact something is going on, when do you think we're going to hear something about this? And I mean, it's got to be soon.
If the Democrats say something, I think it'll be January 6th, because who certifies that? And if she comes out and says, you know what, I have this has been brought to my attention, I have this evidence, and we have to at least investigate. And I believe that in that executive order, it puts it on hold until the investigation is complete. You had to wait the 45 days, and then you have, I think, another 45 days once it's presented to complete the investigation, because, ironically, it was Trump that made that executive order, so how would he go against his own executive order? I think it's very important that the people, both sides, need to see, and that's what the investigation would bring out, because if you see it in black and white, I think it would be less devastating for the other side, because there's a percentage of them that have already said, did I make a mistake? And I think that's why I think January 6th would be the key date. And if it doesn't happen by then I've lost all hope.
I mean, if there's military forces around the Capitol on January 6th, then I'll buy it, because then they'll have to, because it'd be an absolute crazy riot. I mean, possible even to the level of civil war. That can get bad if they try it, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be interested if you guys all researched it and went into it a little further to get different points of view. I've dabbled in it, but I've done a lot of math, and that's what I do. That's how my mind works, and the math doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, I've been skeptical about this, but the one selling point to what you're saying to me is Donald Trump made this executive order. Donald Trump has a history of habitually fucking himself over. So this would be right in line with what he does.
That's the one thing I'm standing by. If they weren't so full of themselves, they wouldn't be making all these mistakes, and so apparent that something could be done. And I think that I look forward to the January 6th, and I hope that something is done, because it has to be exposed. And if ironically it is his executive order that does it, it would just be the icing on the cake, to be honest.
Absolutely. Kathy, thank you very much for coming on. Next time we're on live, please come back. Please come back. We'll be looking for you.
I'll see you on
very
January
much.
6th.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you on January 6th.
Bye.
Now, I just want to say to the people, Eric, Rebecca, and Will, and TJ, we've all talked about this and we've all been very skeptical about it. Here's my problem: people keep coming up with reasonable explanations about possibilities. Does that change your mind anymore? That makes me wonder because there's so many things that are happening in this country, in this world now, that we would never have expected or never believed 10 years ago. The fact that something crazy like this could happen sounds crazy, but in this world, crazy shit happens.
But
I
I
mean,
want I want to
go
say
ahead,
that
TJ.
January 6th, the certification of the election is basically procedural. So
Right.
they I don't know that anyone has the authority to stop the certification of the election, and that was the dilemma that Mike Pence had, is that he didn't have the authority to do what Donald Trump wanted him to do, because
Well, maybe her point isn't that it would happen on January 6th, but it has to happen by January 6th. Because you're right, that is a ceremonial situation, and
yes.
she doesn't have the ability to stop this certification. So something would happen either before or just before the January 6th certification. Once the certification
That is
happens, I don't know what they can do.
that's scary to think that to save the Constitution, we may have to break the Constitution to save
That
it.
would be crazy.
I mean,
That
that
would.
would be. I mean, because what I was talking about, Mike. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, coup d'état, military stepping
No.
in because their loyalties to the Constitution, not to the presidency. I mean, it's a scary thought because I don't know what the reaction. I know what the reaction would be.
Right.
You could have succession. You could have this. You could have, but I don't know how far. And the thing about it that I hesitate is that I really don't think these old Democrats charged have the balls to do it. Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The
Let
chat
me
just said
take
Article
somebody
5.
else here. All right. This one is Carrie. Carrie, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing good, Carrie. You got Will, TJ the plumber, Rebecca, and Will and Eric here. What's on your mind today, Carrie?
Well, I've been listening for a good 10 minutes and
Hmm.
I just don't know what it is you're talking about.
How do you mean you don't know what we're talking about?
Well, I don't know your platform. I don't know, like,
Well, you've never
can you
seen
give me
anything.
some insight?
I can. I think most people here that are on the, we're talking about the election. We're talking about the differences between Republican and Democrats. We're talking about the state of the country. We're talking about the possibility of an economy crashing. What caused you to come here?
Well, just listening. I just needed to know like, what the platform was this evening. Like, is it just all of it, or is there something that you are trying to project? I was just
No,
wondering.
there's nothing I'm trying to project. I talk about similar things all the times. We talk about different things. This is the reason I'm doing this, is to give opportunities to the people who normally listen to the shit I say to have a voice too, much like I do on the Rational Boomer podcast. So let me ask you this. What are you thinking? It doesn't matter whether it falls within a platform. You have the opportunity to say what you think. So please do.
Well, I am a Trump supporter.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Well, because I like less government rather than more government.
You mean less government, like controlling women's reproductive rights, like putting tariffs on, that kind of less government? Is that what you're talking about?
So
Well,
you
let's take
said they want to
for
be a
example.
dictator?
Hold up. Let's take on women's reproductive rights, which the Democrats have been pushing, and I think Kamala Harris, that was her fighting chance of getting into the presidency. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm waiting for you to say something that's worth responding to. Tell us something.
Do you want to know my perspective on it?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. I believe in choice,
Okay,
but I
then you're
don't
not in line
believe
with MAGA.
I don't believe in late term.
Okay. Like
Okay.
at the 9 month period that Donald Trump always says that isn't true, that's not true. I mean, the problem is you like Donald Trump, but you listen to the things he says, and I can't imagine why you continue to listen when you know he's a pathological liar. He lies over and over again. So when he tells you something, what is it within you that causes you to believe a pathological liar?
I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker like you think I am.
Okay, well then tell us how you're not. Because if you follow Donald Trump, we look at you as a Kool-Aid drinker. Maybe I'm wrong. Please tell me how.
Okay. I don't believe in where women should be able to take the life of another human being at 12 weeks old, meaning in their womb.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If we're in a situation where a woman has an ectopic pregnancy or her life is at risk, do you think she should be able to sit in a parking lot and bleed till she's bad enough to get operated on because of these reproductive
Sure.
rights that have been taken away? Do you believe
Well,
that women shouldn't have that opportunity for health care?
when it's an ectopic pregnancy, that is a medical condition.
Yeah, but they're stopping people from getting medication in these red states because of these dystopian, egregious fucking abortion laws.
Okay.
There are women dying. There are three
Give
women
me
in
a
Texas that
state.
died.
Give me a state and give me an example of an ectopic
Texas,
pregnancy.
Texas,
Texas.
three of them.
Texas. If you
In
think
Georgia,
that
2.
if you think that women are having abortions in their 12 weeks after like carrying a child for 12 weeks because they don't want to have the child, you are completely delusional.
That's Planned Parenthood doing that.
No,
Okay.
ma'am. No, ma'am. Let me make this
No,
clear to
it's
you.
not.
There has been death. There have been study of doctors have done research over deaths in the last 2 years in Georgia. 2 of them happened. They had 3 in Texas. And you know what the state governments did? They took down the boards because they don't want the truth. Madam, you are justifying whatever you are as a Trumplefuck. I am sorry.
I don't understand what you
Ma'am,
just
let me
said.
make my point. Let me make my point. You are wrong. And you are
course you
using
are.
some kind of ignorance to try to gaslight me. Don't do it. I'm not buying it.
I'm not trying to gaslight anything.
Women
I'm
do
trying
not
to
carry children
understand.
in their womb for 12 weeks and then abort them. They carry children in their womb for 12 weeks because they want to have a child.
No, there are people, there are women
Not.
who have abortion or terminations, because we're on this platform, that they do that because
What
they
platform?
elect to do
What
that.
platform am I? What platform?
No,
You keep saying
They
platform.
don't
What
elect to do
platform,
that.
ma'am?
TikTok.
What platform?
You
No,
are
no,
completely
no. I'm talking
delusional.
about right here. What we are here with most of these people are rational human beings who have seen our country fall apart because of the stuff you're saying and you've been fed and you believe. There was no such thing as anti-abortion or the right to life movement for decades until the moral majority and the far right took it up as a way to
Okay,
break into
let's
politics.
get off
That
of
is a
this
fucking
subject.
truth.
Let's get off of
Okay,
this
no,
subject.
ma'am, you brought the subject up. This is where we're going to go. So you've been led for 40 years on this. Now they got rid of Roe v. Wade, and you're justifying the death of women for medical procedures. Do not do that to me. Sorry.
Carrie, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to let you go because I'm getting frustrated. Uh, you tell me you didn't drink the Kool-Aid, but if you've been around for 9 years and watched Donald Trump and you voted for him again in 2024, trust me, you drank the Kool-Aid. And
Here's what I get off of this. I've been on
I
a
don't care
couple
what
of
you
these
get.
lives, and when you guys get frustrated with somebody like me, that you don't want to hear from me, that you don't want to hear what I have to say,
Well,
you're just
then
going to
give us
pick
some
me off.
Oh,
facts.
here
Give
come
us
the
some
tears.
facts.
Here come the
Give
white
us some
woman tears.
facts.
There's no
Carrie,
white woman tears. Give me a
Carrie, let
break.
me just tell you something. Let me tell you
Let's
something. If I
let's
could get a
have
Trump,
let's have a
if I could,
nice discourse.
no, we're not going to be nice because of the things the
Oh,
Republicans did.
all
Here's
right,
the
all
thing:
right. Here's
if
what I'm
you,
proposing, that we do have a nice discourse, and what
I
you're
don't
saying
give
to
a
me
fuck what you
is,
propose.
there you go.
I don't
Here you
give a
go.
fuck what you propose.
Here you go.
Listen,
Here you
I'm
go.
not going to be
I
nice.
want to
There I
have a
go.
nice
Bye.
discourse.
Bye. TJ, take care of
Bye.
this.
I just wanted to have a nice.
I
Okay,
can't
well, that
listen to
was our
stupid
Karen
people.
experience for tonight.
I can't
Um,
listen to stupid people. I just can't.
There's
You know, if I could have an
like
intelligent
unless they
conversation
comment,
with a
we have no way to
Trumplephone.
block them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. We're going to wrap things up here fairly quickly because we've been on at this for an hour and a half. Clearly, we're going to do this again because it's been kind of fun. We've got a lot of good people that have come on the show. And if you didn't get on this time, I will get you on next time. But I appreciate those folks that have come on and poured their souls out. We had a couple of Trumplefucks. I guess that's not a surprise. And so I had fun with this. How about you guys?
For sure.
yeah, I love hunting.
No,
Yeah, you know,
this was a lot of fun.
this is interesting.
To the gal that was on a couple of guests ago was talking about the executive order and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden rushing back. Now there might be something to them coming back because of the executive order, but let's not forget, at the same time, we were in the midst of a government shutdown potentially hanging over our heads. I think that had more to do with it than anything. I think they were trying to make sure the funding deal got done. Joe Biden needed to be there to sign it right away to keep the government open. I think that had more to do with it. Now, maybe both things could be true at the same time. But once Donald Trump killed that funding deal, it was like the next day they rushed back to make sure the government got funded. That's what I think.
But they're still there through
I think
Christmas.
so. Yeah, now
I don't
maybe
know
there's
that.
more to it, but I just think it just seemed to me that it was with the funding. But
Yeah,
if there's more to it, I would love to see it. I would love to see the Democrats.
I would too.
But if they do come out with this executive order and somehow it changes everything, or they drop all the evidence on January 6th, this could break the, like, if they do it all, it could break the Republican Party.
Yeah,
We'll
it
see.
could.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
You know, I don't want to be a fatalist or a naysayer. I just don't want to hop on board and try to give people hope. I mean, I know what the aftermath is like after the election because I believe that, along with a lot of people, that Kamala Harris would win, and it was devastating to a lot of people when she didn't win. I don't want to put people through that again. I'm not going to say anything about that until I see some hard facts that shows it's going to happen. I understand all that's going on and how it's affecting things and what possible loopholes are out there. My question isn't about the fact that they did something fishy. They probably did, or that there isn't some avenues to do it. It just goes back to what I've said, what Eric said, what Will said. Will the Democrats do anything about it? And I've seen no indication that they've been able to ramp up their game and do something to make people accountable.
Yeah, I just don't think Democrats are going to do anything about it. If they do something big, that is the one thing that has been said is Democrats don't tip their hand. And
Right,
they
true.
don't. And but if something was to
Very
leak,
tight-lipped.
that's the other thing about the Democrats is it doesn't matter, good, bad, or otherwise. If something leaks, Democrats don't care about the leaker. Republicans, they like to they want to distract from whatever is being talked about and focus on the leaker. You know,
Right.
remember when the Supreme Court leaked the Roe v. Wade decision ahead? And that's all we heard about until the decision dropped. They kept trying to change the narrative to who leaked this decision early, who leaked the decision early, away from how egregious the overturning of Roe v. Wade was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, can I
Go ahead.
Can I pivot on something real quick?
Sure.
So, Donald Trump's been threatening Panama, and I don't know if you guys caught this story, but I caught it today. And Donald Trump apparently is being sued by the Panamanian government because he owes taxes for a condo property that he owns in Panama. So, once again, if this is true, it's retribution against Panama, not because Panama did anything, did anything to the United States, but it's because he's being sued by the Panamanian government because he didn't pay his taxes that he owes.
Yeah, it's typical. He loves revenge, and if you have the audacity to step on his toes, he'll go after them, and he'll do it in the most ridiculous way. And if he's inaugurated, all these things he claims he's going to do, he's not going to do. This is all distraction for the prices he's not going to bring down or the inflation he's going to help. He knows he's not going to do that now, so he's got to change the narrative and distract, and then he'll distract again. And this is part and parcel of who Donald Trump is. He's fucking performance only, no substance, and he will just constantly come up with some bigger, crazier story that will distract people. And that's my biggest concern about the next 4 years. Nothing's going to get done.
Yeah, not much is going to get done the next couple at least, because Democrats won't be in control of either chamber of Congress. Now, after the midterms, if Democrats get control, depending on how much control they get and where the Republicans sit about going around Donald Trump, they may end up passing stuff around Trump and around his vetoes just to make some progress, so they have some wins to crow about, so they can run to get reelected.
That's the only way it's going to happen, because he'll never sign them.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, Republicans, they don't need Donald Trump after January 20th. I think they're being maybe not wishy-washy, but they're going along with what he's saying now. The minute he takes that oath of office, then you're going to start seeing the pushback coming.
Yeah.
And you're already
he's got
seeing
nothing.
some of it ahead, but you're going to see a lot more of it come January 20th after he's in office, because he can't get reelected. They can. And they're more worried about that than they are anything to do with Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap things up. We're at a minute or an hour 45. That I usually like to keep it no more than that. So TJ and Eric and Will and Rebecca, thank you very much for coming and helping out.
Thank you,
This
Mike.
was an experiment,
Mike.
and I kind of liked it.
Thanks, Mike.
This has been fun.
All right, for those of you in the audience, if you didn't get on today, I'll do another live sometime soon. I'm going to do them more regularly. TJ and Rebecca kicked some ass out there and kept the Trumplefucks out and kept us on the air, as it were. I'm going to do this more because I like hearing from other people, and I know it's great to have Eric and Rebecca and Will and TJ around to help with answers to questions. They all have different perspectives.
Can somebody
and
who's a
that's
little
what we
more
need to
tech
do.
savvy than us maybe figure out a way to block somebody who's in the live? But we can't.
Hold
we
on,
can't block
hold
them if
on,
they don't
hold on,
comment.
hold on. Hey, Mike, after you wrap this up, can I give you a call real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a little problem that Rebecca and I found out about tonight. I just want to tell you what the deal is.
Okay.
That
yeah, I
sounds
think
ominous.
it sounds ominous, and I think I know where you're going with it. So yeah, we can work this out. Anyway, for all those of you listening, I just want to remind you to make sure you listen to the Rational Boomer podcast. I do one every night. This particular live will be the podcast for tomorrow. You can get it on Spotify, the audio version or the video version on YouTube. We're there every day. I hope you check it out because we've got people like Eric and Will and TJ and Rebecca coming on the show, as well as a lot of other listeners. And we have a lot of important things that we have, and a lot of smart people who make me look good. So that's why we do the show. So I hope you check that out. But I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, guys.
Right.